Hey guys, how you doing? I'm back, Storyhawk here. I'm just reading some stories from Entitled Parents subreddit today, so I hope you enjoy. Cheers. You disown me? So? That's no reason for keeping us out of your wedding. So, not my story, but my best friend, I'll call JJ, and it happened about 2 years ago. I have his permission to post it. JJ came out to his family when he was about 27 years old. Aside from them, everyone else in his life knew he was gay, and there was a good reason for it. As he expected, his parents reacted horribly to the news, and basically disowned him at the moment. They later told both extended families, and his uncles and grandparents cut him off too. His maternal grandmother went as far as to try to take him out of his dead maternal grandfather's will. She failed, due to the will's conditions. No one could modify it. Not even the main representative, aka Grandma. And homosexuality was not listed in the conditions that could make the inheritance void. Or Grandpa didn't expect it to happen, or he just didn't care. Take your guess. JJ was legally the partial owner of some properties, and also got a substantial amount of money, which got even bigger when he reclaimed in cash his corresponding share of the houses, which forced his family to buy them from him. The other option was losing the properties in a public sale, as stated by our country's laws. JJ didn't need the money actually. By this point he was a moderately successful professional and lived in his own apartment, but it severed any legal binding he had with his family that could become a problem in the future. He still kept good relationships with his sister and most of his cousins, but even if they invited him to family gatherings, he always declined. Fast forward 3 years and JJ's getting married to his longtime boyfriend, Sky, whose family was the polar opposite of JJ's. When they found out, they made royal wedding style plans for the guy's elopement. They are, very wealthy, and JJ contributed to the whole extravaganza with a portion of his inheritance. He invited as his guests his friends, including here yours truly as his best man. Some co-workers, his sister, and the cousins he still spoke to. Don't be wrong, it was a lot of people. The wedding was amazing. Done in an underground, literally speaking, it was a freaking cave venue. His sister took him to the altar, there was an orchestra playing, etc. Fairy tale style. And the after party, well, I can't remember half of it because I was so drunk, but it was from another world. They say go big or go home, and they really went big. But enough the context, you came here for the juicy part. JJ told the good cousins not to tell anything to his parents or other family members about the wedding, because he didn't want trouble. But obviously the next day their social media accounts were full of pictures and word spread out like fire. At first it was small things. He started receiving calls of some aunts about why they weren't invited, the bad cousins complained via Facebook, and other nuisances. He just ignored them and blocked numbers and accounts. He didn't want or need to give explanations when they had all made clear their position years prior. But one day, hell came directly to the door. His parents, P and M, his maternal grandma, MG, and his paternal grandparents, PGS, all the heads of the families, came to visit. How they found where he lived is still a mystery to him. Sky was working and JJ was alone in the house, so there was no one to help him against the crook squad. His name, not mine. Yeah. I can't actually transcript because he didn't use exact words when he told me this, but it seems at first they tried to be gentle, asking how he could leave them out of such an important event that directly affected the family. Dudes, really? And things like that. His mum even used the "you took away my chance of seeing my only male son marriage" argument. He pointed out that they were the ones that expelled him from the family and that they hated everything gay. Half of that wedding was LGBT crowd if you're wondering. They classified his exile as a misunderstanding. The bickering between the six continued for a long time until he got tired and asked what they wanted, as he could not redo the wedding. MG spilled the beans. "Ungrateful brat. At least compensate us for not inviting us to a wedding we paid for." That was the problem. MG and his parents were mad he had used the family money on the ceremony. He told me they actually thought he paid for everything and had burnt out all the inheritance, when it was more of a 30 to 40% of the deal. Sky's family paid more and JJ still had inheritance money. And they wanted it back. They'd brought the PGs with them as an additional emotional leverage. As I told you earlier, JJ had made sure that money had no legal bindings to his family anymore, but for some reason they still believed it was theirs to a point, and were mad he'd spent it. He confronted them, and they threw away their facade. What came next was a serious fight, in which both JJ and his father ended up hitting each other until the neighbours called the police. Charges were pressed on both sides, but in the end the case was declared a tie. Don't ask me how that was possible, because I don't know. And JJ was not forced to pay 1 cent. He was also able to ask for restraining orders against all of them. Till this day, JJ is still shaken about that event. He had prepared himself for years, knowing that his family would hate him because of his sexuality, but he still retained some hope that far in the future they could mend things up. He lost that hope after they tried to emotionally scam him. Thanks for reading. Excuse me, what has your brother and mother done to deserve an invite to your wedding that I haven't? My dad met and took up with my stepmom when I was 3. My biological mum had disappeared off in the big blue ocean on a yacht, for the 3rd time, not believing my dad when he said that if you leave the kids and I again, we are done. By the time she returned 3 months later, my stepmom had decided that this rather wealthy, handsome and charming man was a catch, and sank her claws into him. To her credit, she was also taking on 3 kids, 3, 4 and 6 years of age. However, at this time, we had people to do everything for us. Nannies for us children, a chef, who everyone called Fish, people to come clean the house. There was a ballroom and a library and giant teak spiral staircase. Yes, it all sounds so grandiose and silver spoon, and it was. But we lost all our money by the time I was 10, and lived in a tiny house, and Dad had to work distinguishedly long hours in order to keep the family afloat. Stepmother dearest floated from fancy to fancy. One minute she is opening a coffee shop, the next she is selling aromatherapy oils, or she's selling swimwear or sunglasses. Basically, my dad would bankroll these things in the hope that she'd start contributing to the income, but everyone in the small community disliked her so much they tended to avoid her. That is, except the men she was sleeping with. She had lots of affairs, to the point that even I, an oblivious child and still a pretty oblivious and trusting adult, thank fuck my husband is a good person, though he does love to jump out at me from behind doors and make me almost pee my pants, understood that there was something not right going on. Eventually she went one step too far, and my father finally left her, in the pettiest, most perfect way. 6 months after this, my elder brother got married. She attended, with her son, my awesome little brother in tow. I wrote about this in a previous post, so I'll shorten it here. She basically wanted to bring my 11-year-old brother to an after party at my house. Cried and stormed off when she was told no. Had spent all her money on the wine at the bar, and so a family friend had to give her cash to make her take little bro home in a taxi. After this, she told anyone that would listen that I'd made her so unwelcome that she wouldn't be attending my brother's other wedding in the community we are from. However, the reason she didn't attend was that she expected my dad to pay for her to go, and he told her to go fuck a spider. After this, I went no contact with her. I moved from Australia to England for love. After 5 years, the man I moved here with proposed, totally unexpectedly because we were quite happy living in sin and we'd just bought a house. Considering all the family from Oz would be coming, and I have a ginormous family, likely because there's no much else to do where we're from, we set a date for 18 months' time and notified everyone quickly so that the flights and accommodation could be booked. I set up a group chat with everyone invited so that those who were coming could discuss who stays with who, make plans for our trips out, etc. Little brother is in the group. He's 17 and finishing high school, living with his mother. She doesn't believe in privacy and accesses all his messages. She obviously finds this chat and starts to shit frisbees. I receive an email from her. It's long. Even longer than this mammoth story, and full of passive-aggressive digs. She was livid she wasn't invited. My favourite lines from it were the following. I just want to know, my name, what it is that, little brother's name, and my biological mum's name, have done for you to support you in your relationship that I haven't done. I took great pleasure in replying. Little brother is coming because he is my brother. Biological mum is coming because even though we have a fractious relationship, She has reached out to me with love and apologised for her behaviour and, I quote directly from the email, she pushed me out of her vagina and that counts for a lot. See, I just had my first child and I was willing to forgive the sins of my mother after she did that 3 times over. You are not coming because even though I attempted to build bridges with you, you willfully ignored my olive branch. I'm happy to work on our relationship again, but you need to admit your behaviour has been downright bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, she was speechless. At least, I assume she was, as I received no reply and no further contact. Little brother said that she told him she's not buying me a wedding gift. Terribly sorry to inform you, ex-stepmother. We requested no gifts. All we wanted for our wedding was to have the people we loved there. Guess we got the gift of your absence, though. There you go, guys. A bit of a shorter one, and a bit of a wedding theme, actually, today. That wasn't planned, it just sort of happened, but I'll roll with it. Yeah, well, cheers for sticking around till the end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.